I'd just like to make it clear to everyone that the meeting will be being recorded this evening. Notice of meeting. Public notice of the meeting is given in accordance with Schedule 12, paragraph 10, little 2 of the Local Government Act 1972. Agenda item number 1, apologies for absence.
I've received apologies from Councillor Brown, Councillor Kelly and Councillor Shackleton.
That's a move that we received the apologies. Moved by Councillor Hart. The seconder.
Oh,
Sorry, I'll let you speak to it then.
Councillor Roberts.
All in favour? Moving on to agenda item number 2, declarations of interest and requests for dispensation. So this is to declare any disclosable pecuniary interest or any other interest which members may have in the following agenda items and consider any dispensation requests. Do we have any such requests, members? No, thank you. Oh, sorry, Councillor.
A number of us have been involved in those I don't know whether we need to submit that.
We can note it.
You can note it, yeah.
Thank you, Councillor O'Hara. Any other comments there?
Well,
Councillor Wilson. We will note all members of the neighbourhood plan from the Town Council.
I'm also a member of the...
Oh, right, thank you, Councillor Rowland. I think we've got everyone, but we will try to make sure that we're all voting. Agenda item number 3, external reports. To receive reports on behalf of external bodies if present, and I believe we've got Joyce from the British Neighbourhood Plan. You'd like to join us, Joyce, thank you.
Right. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Say something to that. It's actually me.
I can do it if you want.
Is that as full screen as it will go? The rating?
Yeah, that's it. That's fine.
Right, can everybody hear me now? Right, good afternoon everybody. My name is Joyce Stango for the people that don't know me. I've been the chair of the Neighbourhood Plan Steering Group. So this is a presentation to the Town Council in the hope that you will accept the plan we've put forward. It's going to be, if it's adopted tonight, it's going to be on consultation for 2 months. So if anybody's got any comments, please put them on. We're very keen to get as many people as possible to read it and be aware of what it is. So the second slide, what is a neighbourhood plan? A neighbourhood plan or neighbourhood planning gives communities direct power to develop a shared vision for their neighbourhood and to shape the development and growth of the local area. Neighbourhood planning provides a powerful set of tools for local people to plan for the types of development to meet their community's needs, and where the ambition of the neighbourhood is aligned with the strategic needs and priorities of the wider local area. So slide 3, it's produced by the local community, but the Town Council is the qualifying body. So it's the Town Council that put this neighbourhood plan forward. The area is locally determined and known as the neighbourhood area, and we've gone for the entire parish, which is Whitby and part of Russell. And the neighbourhood area was designated way back in November 2022. So slide 4, what is the plan's purpose? It is used in the determination of future planning applications within the neighbourhood area. North Yorkshire Council planning officers will use it to determine applications submitted to them. It will be used by developers to help shape their proposals, and it will be used by the Town Council to comment on future planning applications. So it's really important for anybody on the planning committee to know this off by heart if possible. This is a policy document that will contain planning policies, and these are policies, not recommendations. So slide 5, does it have teeth? Yes, but only once it's been adopted or made. Part of the statutory planning framework for the area and has the same status as the local plan, which will eventually be produced by North Yorkshire Council. There isn't one at the moment, so we have to refer back to the Scarborough Borough Council local plan. The neighbourhood plan must meet some basic conditions that are set out in legislation. It must have regard to national policies and advice. It must be in general conformity with the local plan, must be subject to public consultation, and must relate only to the neighbourhood area. Slide 6, other requirements. It must be positively prepared, and the plans must be for sustainable development. It's not a mechanism for stopping development, and it sets out the community vision for the area for the next 15 to 20 years. It must relate to planning and development matters. Can I just add in here that other neighbourhood plans have added in community aspirations, which capture the comments and suggestions of members of the public, which cannot be addressed through policies in the neighbourhood plan. We haven't done this, but we could fit it in if the Town Council were happy for us to do this. Because with the various surveys we've done, we've got comments, lots of people know what we need to do for Whitby. I did say it sets out the vision for the next 15 to 20 years. It is advisable to revise it every 5 years, or if there's any major changes. Policies must be justified and underpinned by evidence. Policies should reflect consultation with the community, and policies should not just repeat national or local policies. They must be locally distinctive. Slide 7. Research undertaken to inform the neighbourhood plan. I won't go through all that. I think most people are aware of what we've done. The two important parts of that is the December 2024 Whitby Housing Needs Assessment, which is where we got additional funding, and this was done by a consultant. Now, it is important to highlight that that is totally different to the Housing Needs Assessment being done by North Yorkshire Council for their local plan, where they've lumped us into the Scarborough area. So ours does highlight a very specific problem in Whitby, whereas the North Yorkshire local plan doesn't highlight Whitby as having a housing issue. So that is a very important piece of work. Please take note of that. And then April 2025, we've also got additional funding for the Whitby Design Code, which again is specific to Whitby. Slide 8, public consultation undertaken to inform the neighbourhood plan. Again, I think most of you are aware we went out to various places and highlighted, we had posters up, and we were trying to get as many comments back from the public as possible. Slide 9, what's in the draft neighbourhood plan policies? These are the key points you need to go through and read and let us have any comments back. So the key one that came out of the Whitby Housing Needs Assessment was the need for a principal residence policy, and this was on all new dwellings. We have tried to include conversions in there because there is a lot of business properties and larger houses being converted into apartments. So they could be counted as new dwellings. Affordable housing. So we want affordable housing for local connection criteria to give preference to Whitby residents, but also key workers, because there is requirement for housing for key workers. And we require a better mix of housing size and type, which caters for the needs of the town. And we've got a particular need for older and disabled people in this town. Design, detailed guidance on design of all new developments. Community facilities, we need to protect them. We've lost 2 community centres just lately, and setting out requirements for new facilities. Green space, It was interesting when we met with the town investment plan people the other day, because they said one of the key things that was coming across, Whitby's loved because of its amount of green space and open space, but you've got to bear in mind that within Whitby we have got a limited amount of green space. It is continuing to be built on, and most of it is not fully accessible to most people. Wildlife, protecting and enhancing wildlife is part of planning now. Slide 10, landscape, protecting important views in the parish. I'm sure you're all aware we've lost quite a good view from the new bridge with the maritime hub. So it's trying to protect key views within the town. Heritage, identifying and protecting important local heritage assets. We've looked at the non-designated heritage assets we think that are quite important to the town. Accessibility, improving walking, cycling routes, and we've also added public transport into that. Car parking, requiring all new development to have its own off-street parking. Town centre, protecting retail and encouraging new businesses in the town centre. We've put the harbour as our town centre because I think, well, I'm sure you'll all agree, it is our town centre. We haven't got a town shopping centre as such. Business and tourism, slide 11. Support for new businesses and tourism in the right locations. Flooding, we need to try and ensure new developments does not add to problems of flooding. Climate change, support for the inclusion of environmental measures to reduce carbon in new development. So slide 12, how can people have their say? If we get the approval tonight, we're hoping to launch it from the 1st of December to the 30th of January for consultation. Website will have copies of the plan and its supporting documents with details of how to respond. The consultation is going to be publicised using articles in the local printed media and social media. Comments can be submitted via an email. And the proposal was to have hard copies at the Town Council and the library, but we know that the Town Council offices are likely to be closed. So the proposal is we could use the hub on Skinner Street, the flash outs are opened, and the side centre, if the Town Council are happy for us to do that. What happens next? Slide 13. All comments received during the consultation will be analysed. Amendments made to the neighbourhood plan as required. The amended neighbourhood plan will then be submitted to North Yorkshire Council for independent examination. Again, following approval to do so by the Town Council. North Yorkshire Council will undertake public consultation on the amended neighbourhood plan as submitted. An independent examiner appointed by North Yorkshire will assess the plan, and if it's successful at examination, we might need to adjust it again. The neighbourhood plan will then be subject to a referendum to voters within Whitby Parish, and we need 50% of those voters to approve it, to get it adopted. Slide 14, what is the time scale? Depending on the number and complexity of the comments received, we aim to submit it to North Yorkshire Council, hopefully in March, April 2026. We understand North Yorkshire Council are a bit behind in the timescales with the numbers going through, so the examination could take place in summer and the referendum late 2026, but again, we can't control the North Yorkshire Council. I think you've been sent a copy of the plan. Have you got any questions?
No, there's any questions? Councillor Amanda Smith. Who pays for the referendum? Does the Town Council need to set aside money for that?
Sorry.
Who pays for the referendum?
North Yorkshire
Council.
So sorry, we can't hear a thing.
Who pays for the referendum? Does the Town Council need to set money aside for that?
No. Once this is handed over to North Yorkshire Council, they control it, they do everything. So that's when the funding finishes, once we've got a draft to go to them, unless we need to tweak something because of the examination.
I've got Councillor Bolton and then Councillor Wire.
When you say it needs to be supported by at least 50% of the electors, do you mean 50% of those voting?
That's correct.
Councillor Lyon.
Thank you. Could I just ask, this is just a question, I don't know. Is it going to planning? Will the neighbourhood plan be going to the planning committee or with the town council?
No. With regard to what we're doing.
Should I answer that? I think it won't be going, it's come to the whole committee because it's a committee decision.
Councillor Herald, sorry, can you speak into the mic?
It's a decision made by us tonight as opposed to the planning committee because this is actually important for all of us.
Yeah.
It's only a draft.
So it's only a draft?
Yeah.
But it wouldn't go to planning anyway. It would come straight to full council because it's full council that has to approve it. It couldn't be approved by the planning committee.
Thank you. Any further questions, members? Councillor Cotton.
Yeah. You don't mention we need another park and ride site.
We can only deal with planning issues.
Right. I know you did comment about new housing estates and whatnot needing parking.
Yeah, we can comment on parking with developments.
Yes.
We have suggested or recommended that a park and ride would be a useful thing to have. But the problem is the park and ride that's there now is not within Whitby Parish.
Right.
Do we have any place within Whitby Parish to put a park and ride?
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any further questions, members? I'll just say thank you for the report, Joyce. It's very in-depth and I'm sure there's been an awful lot of work on into that. Could I just ask one question, and I possibly should probably know this, but given the amount of work that's being done, how much does North Yorkshire Council have to take this on board now that they're creating their effective neighbourhood plan to cover the whole of the county? How much will they take this into consideration? Or do they have to take it into consideration?
They do to a certain extent. I mean, what I would like to see is that we're taking the housing needs assessment. I think under the new community bill that's coming out, I think we've got to see Whitby and district as a separate community and not lump it with Scarborough, because they're two totally separate communities. We've got two totally separate housing needs. Our housing needs are not the same as Scarborough's. And I think that's where the Whitby Housing Needs Assessment is so important. So I hope they will look at that.
It's critical, that area, isn't it?
But they'll be looking at a general, North Yorkshire wide. So the design codes will probably be a bit more general rather than specific that the Whitby one is.
Thank you. Thank you, Joyce. If that's complete, if you'd like to take a seat.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to all the team that's helped out with it, because it has involved a lot of work. So thank you to everybody that's worked with me.
This does come up on our agenda later on, members, to make the decision at agenda item number 6, so we'll just move on from there at the moment. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 4, public participation session. This is where we will suspend standing orders for up to 15 minutes to allow members of the public to ask questions, make statements or give evidence about business items on the agenda and limit. The public want to speak. Thank you very much as always for attending. Moving on to agenda, can you hear me everyone? Agenda item number 5, to confirm as an accurate record minutes of the following full council meetings, and you have had copies. Minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 14th of October.
I've got a couple of things to add actually.
Right, I'll hand over to you.
Right, Councillor Shackleton needs to be added to the attendance for both the meetings on the 14th and the 4th of November, which I've added in handwritten onto the minutes to be signed. And also there is an addition on 22825. This was the reports from North Yorkshire Council. That a petition with 516 signatures from local residents was handed to Councillor Swanwick with aims to reduce the speed limit on the new bridge from 40 mile an hour to 30 mile an hour. I'd actually missed that because we've got two petitions we were talking about and I thought it was the same one. So I've handwritten that onto the minutes for them to be approved, if you wish.
So moving that, I'm going to deal with those two section minutes first. So are members happy to approve those two sets of minutes? Could I have a proposer? Councillor Smith, a seconder. Councillor O'Hara, all in favour?
If you wish to each page and then sign and date the last page, please.
I can't be responsible for that. I don't know what to do. Yeah. Moving on to 5C, the minutes of the planning committee meetings held on the 30th of October and the 6th of November. These are for information only.
Just asking you to receive.
So, are you happy to move to receive from Councillor Smith? A seconder? Councillor Abbott, all in favour? Is that unanimous? Yeah. Thank you, members. And moving on, on the next page, the minutes of the Human Resources Committee held on the 4th of November 2025. This is for information, but the clerk would like to speak.
Yeah, it's been brought to my attention that HR 224/25 that the Town Council's grievance procedure differs from the ACAS statutory grievance procedure, in that, in the case of a grievance from an employee levied against a councillor, it should be reported to the monitoring officer. This matter needs to be discussed by full council at their next meeting on the 9th of December 2025, as council must decide which procedure should be adopted. In the meantime, the request of redress required by the subject should be put on hold. In addition to this, when it was discussed earlier today at the Human Resources Committee, I'm afraid Councillor Rizzles admitted that he had breached confidentiality by discussing the outcome of the discussions at the 4th of November with the subject of the grievance. And that was from the minutes made earlier today, that this would be reported to full council on the 25th of November. So it's just to receive those with that information.
If members are happy to receive with the additional information, do I have someone that would move or receive them? Councillor O'Hara, and a second, Councillor Abbott, all in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you, members.
Did you abstain, Councillor Rizzles? Did you abstain? You voted for? Right, I just saw your hand up.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 6, the Whitby Neighbourhood Plan. God, that sounded a bit like a bit of accent out there. Whitby Neighbourhood Plan. To consider approval of the draft neighbourhood plan to enable the move to next stage of consultation following the presentation from the neighbourhood plan chairman. And we've all obviously just gone through that, so I'll open it to the floor if anyone has any comments or anyone would wish to move. Councillor O'Hara.
I move that we support the neighbourhood plan.
That's been moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Abbott. All in favour? Unanimous. Thank you, members. And again, thank you for all the hard work that's obviously going into this plan. Agenda item number 7, whaleboats, and this was to receive a report from Mr. John Woodett from North Yorkshire Council on options for replacement of the whaleboats. We have all received that copy. Can you speak to it now? Or
No.
just-
No.
Any comments?
Thoughts?
Comments at all, members? Councillor Smith?
I would like to see them replaced with whaleboats. I also note the comment that John made in the last paragraph. Maybe we ought to look at an alternative to making replica whaleboats under a sustainable sustainability policy. Should we investigate the cost? Should I put a motion in that we investigate the cost of?
I don't know what anyone else thinks, but I think it might be sensible to have a plan B should we find that we cannot import any original whaleboats. So if that was a motion, Councillor Smith?
Yeah, we'd like to investigate the cost of making some replica whaleboats as a contingency.
Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Smith, could you repeat it through the microphone, please?
Can't be upset now.
Investigate the cost of
I'd like to
replica.
make a proposal that we investigate the costs of making some replica whaleboats, just in as a contingency plan.
Yeah.
Thank you. Did you get the seconder, was it? Okay.
Councillor Abbott, yeah.
All in favour? Again, unanimous. Thank you, members.
Can I just make a point on the whereabouts? Would it not be a good idea?
Can everyone hear before I let Councillor speak and then we have to repeat?
Would it be a good idea if, as it's probably one of the most photographed spots in Wicked, for investors putting in collection box or QR code or whatever they are, to collect money for the wetlands, to have them replaced or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, whether it's our responsibility or North Yorkshire Council's.
Can't we just take and do it ourselves?
That'd be up to council to make that.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
if
what
you're
I mean.
putting that, right, are you putting forward that as a proposal?
I propose that we investigate whether we can put a collection box and probably a QR code to collect money for the repairs or replacements of the whaleboats at the site.
Yeah.
Could I just come back on that one point, Councillor, because I think it's a good idea if we can raise some funds for it, but I'm not quite sure that a collection box on site would be a wise idea, because Councillor Hall,
And we just remember that Mr. Barker's also asked for cost because he did offer to
yeah,
pay.
this was the
Oh, yeah,
was
yeah.
offered to
One of the owners of the roads offered to come forward with funding for
He
it.
asked if we get, I think I mentioned it quite a few months ago,
Yeah.
to see
Yeah.
the amount of costs that we put to him.
Yeah.
It was too much to
Yeah.
contribute in once.
I mean, the QR code, but I mean, do we need a second of the proposal?
Councillor Karen. All in favour of the...
So if we investigate,
Yeah.
yeah.
All in favour of investigating the feasibility of putting a QR code at the wheelbars?
Yeah.
Yeah. All in favour, and we have made a point that we will look into the
Yeah,
very generous offer.
yeah.
Thank you. Agenda item number 8, Christmas lights, and this is to receive a verbal report from the local town park on the challenges with the installation of Whitby Christmas lights. I'll hand over from publisher.
I'll do my best. Right. We understand that the actual physical lights. Can you hear me up there?
Yes.
Right. I think they can hear me. Right. We understand that the lights were received by the Christmas Lights Factory on the 15th of November, and that Acorn, who are the installation contractors, were being urged to put them up as soon as possible. At the Christmas festival, the assistant clerk spoke to Acorn, who were fitting the lights on the tree and putting up the column lights, and they said they would get them up towards the end of the week or early the following week, which is now. Has anybody noticed whether there's any Christmas lights on? Right. As regards where everything was so late, I understand that in late July there were still discussions about garlands on the bridge, 6 additional lights on Church Street and infrastructure repairs. A quote came in for £12,000. This should have been discussed at the full council on the 5th of August 2025, which was cancelled, and none of that had been progressed by the former town clerk. Then all the columns were condemned by North Yorkshire Council following an inspection by Acorn. Then the assistant clerk, the mayor and Tim Cole met with Acorn and discussed what should be paid for by Whitby Town Council and what North Yorkshire Council should pay for, following the advice that North Yorkshire Council given earlier in the year. I understand this was verbally updated and a decision was made on full council, who agreed to pay for the extra infrastructure and carry on with the lights on Church Street. Now, I understand that Mr Dove of the Christmas Lights Company repeatedly told the Christmas Lights Subcommittee that the schedule was very tight and this may impact its delivery. Now, it seems that they were delivered late, as I say, on the 15th of November, but we're still waiting for them to be put up, and we're now, 10 days past that? So it's where you want me to go from here.
Is any comments? I've got to members. Councillor Steve Smith.
Yes, so the lights that they put up at the moment and the trees that are being dressed, is that going to incur additional costs? Particularly the tree on Dock End, Every?
No, the tree on Dock End is different. Maybe the mayor can explain the tree on Dock End.
Well, traditionally it was provided by SBC, and I believe it was last year as well.
The tree on Dock End is a different situation to what the Christmas Lights Company are providing. The additional column lights, there's no extra cost to the town council for those column lights. The Christmas trees, they're lights that we had in storage. So the Baxter lights are covered in, addressed with the steel lights that we've had for many years, the town council have had for many years, that have been used on the market previously. And the other lights I actually bought from my own pocket. I bought some of the lights for the other Christmas trees, because we needed something for the Christmas festival to be switched on. And the Dock End lights, the North Yorkshire Council fitted some lights that didn't work. They fitted a transformer that didn't work. So on the day of the Christmas festival on the Friday, I was basically trying to arrange, get some lights sorted for that tree. And I was running around trying to get it sorted, but they didn't get a transformer to go with the lights for the tree, because they didn't work last year as well, and it was the same transformer. So I was quite annoyed with them really. And that's now been rectified, those lights are now working. But yeah, it was a poor situation really, to be faced with on the day of the light switching.
Any other comments? Councillor Amanda. Did anyone have their hand up before Councillor Amanda Smith? I don't think anyone did. Councillor. Yes, the situation, because first of all, can I just say thank you to Phil Lockhart all the hard work is done and the amount of money around, and it's the same way that we have the investment for lights we bought. But other than that, the situation with Christmas lights seems to be very confused. Are we aware of whether it's Whitby Town Council's fault that the lights weren't ordered in sufficient time for them to be produced? Or whether that's actually a miscommunication with Christmas lights, or whether it's wholly Christmas lights problem? Do we know where the problem has arisen from?
I think it's a combination of a few things really. I think ideally the decision would have been made in March or April to order the lights. I think when you're leaving it that late, you're leaving it open to basically any kind of issue that might happen to slow everything down, which did happen. I mean, it happened previously in 2019, I think it was, and in a similar situation, but luckily there were some lights in storage that could be used. So yeah, it's one of those situations. I mean, it's terrible when you want to switch the lights on, you've got a date and organise an event, and then basically you're finding out that the lights might not be, or aren't going to be there. So this is, it's quite a difficult situation to work with when you've got an event which is basically on the light switch on.
Can I come back?
I'll let you come back then, I've got council.
It's just that I specifically remember approaching our then town clerk and saying, when we're leaving this day for the lights too late. In the past, as a shop owner, we've dealt in Christmas lights, and I know that they have to be in January, February time, as you're saying. In March is too late, to be honest. And I approached the then town clerk at the time and said, was that not the case? And I was assured by him that he got assurances that indeed they were not too late. So my question is really, if he did have those assurances, if Whitby Town Council was giving those assurances, then the problem lies with Christmas lights as a company. Well, yeah, that's... But,
right, there is an email which was dated July, which I've read earlier today. And from memory, the gentleman who we've dealt with at Christmas lights was making that point yet again in that email, that time was getting very tight, and that was July and towards the end of July. So that's the only information I can give you.
thank you.
Council Wyatt.
Yeah.
Just following on from Councillor Smith, there's been so much confusion about the Christmas lights. Indeed, the clerk was asked earlier on, and he did say everything was all right. We had a meeting, and we had the provider or the company on call from China.
That's right.
And he said it's going to be tight, but if you pay the deposit in time, we'll get them on the ship. Was it this Saturday? Was it Saturday? That we were.
And we had to have got the deposit paid by Monday in order that they could commission the lights to be made. And I think it was 4 weeks. It was 4 weeks or 6 weeks. I can't remember exactly now. It was 4 weeks or 6 weeks, and that would get them on the ship. And then off from the ship to being here was going to take time. That would have allowed us to have got them. We've not very much to spare, but we should have got them here in order for that. So yes.
And also about the contract. Do you recall about the contract, Amanda? We were supposed to have signed the contract in time. Did we sign it in time?
Well, I don't really want to. The previous clerk basically.
I'm going to take it out of your hands, Phil, there, because I think for a member of staff, it's a delicate situation, to be fair. I think it's very fair to say that the Christmas Lights Committee was led to believe absolutely 100% that we had plenty of time moving forward. We took advice from our previous clerk and moved with that advice. It's a very unfortunate position. None of us are happy with it, but I think it would be wrong of us now to go down the road of name and blame when we don't have those members with us any longer. But it is acknowledged, and it was pursued strongly from the committee that we needed to move on with this. In relation to the Christmas tree, in the past, the Dock End Christmas tree was always provided for us by Scarborough Council, and we weren't told until about a month ago, I would say, Phil, am I correct? The North Yorkshire Council were no longer prepared to provide the Christmas tree, and they presented a bill to us for that tree. I did argue the toss with the gentleman concerned, stating that it was far too short notice to drop that on us, equally as they did with the repairs to the columns. Our columns were checked out at the beginning of the year, and any issues that were raised were dealt with at that time. And then when it came to the time for the Christmas lights going up, we were told, sorry, these aren't acceptable, there's going to be a charge of £12,000 and it needs to be sorted out by the Town Council. Clearly that was challenged yet again. I think you can rest assured we have challenged extremely strongly against this, and there's no one more disappointed than everyone in this room that the town hasn't got its lights up yet. However, I would hope that we're going to follow it up again very strongly tomorrow morning, because the lights have arrived and it's not good enough now that we're still sat without any lights around town. But rest assured, members, this wasn't a case of just sitting back and accepting it. It was challenged very, very strongly.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. And it is correct, the Christmas Lights Committee were on it the whole time. That's correct, isn't it, Amanda? We were pushing it. Can we meet sooner on this year, the Christmas lights? Can we start with we meet before the end of the year for next year? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Bolton.
Councillor Ryan basically made my point, which is that we should stop having any quest on this, decide what the learning points are, and act on them.
Thank you. Councillor Aston.
One question. The faulty lighting columns, have they actually been replaced?
Yes.
All the repairs have been made.
Under agreement with North Yorkshire Council, I must admit, we did come to an
At
acceptable.
a lower cost than what
Yeah.
was initially quoted.
So we're just noting that.
Well, just not the council stuff.
Sorry,
It was 6,500 what the town council agreed on. The actual cost to the town council is £2,000 less.
Oh, right.
So North
That's
Yorkshire,
good news, though.
yeah.
Yeah. But that is over budget, so I'm just...
Receive that report.
Councillor Murphy, Councillor and Councillor Abbott, sorry.
So what we're doing now, we've obviously ironed out the problems where it's chemical. How are you, or is your council going to say, we just move on, we're not going to say, send a nasty letter saying this hasn't to be done again, signing contract?
Right, basically, tomorrow we will be chasing up ACON.
Will you report that to the council?
Yeah, I'll probably do it by email once I've got it.
Thank you, members. That on comment, can we just receive that report of Councillor Steve Smith? The seconder, all in favour? That's unanimous again, thank you, members. Agenda item number 9, to the review of minute number 08/25, trial of changes to committee system. This was to receive a report from the local town clerk on the current programme of meetings and a suggestion on first stage of moving forward with a revised programme. I'll hand over to you, Pam.
You've all had a copy of my report. Questions, comments, thoughts? Councillor Bolton.
Councillor Bolton.
Yeah, I agree with what you're proposing. is dysfunctional. But I'm just a little bit concerned in case the proposal for everyone to prepare a CV as the first step actually delays the process of introducing the committee system that actually works, since we have such a long jam of work.
Yeah.
Sorry, second quick point. The other thing about is that your last paragraph might contain the implication that unless a councillor is qualified by some skill or experience to serve on a particular committee, that they shouldn't serve on that committee. And as we are an organisation which is headed by a democratic process, it should go without saying that any councillor who is properly elected, regardless of their qualifications, should obviously be able to serve on that committee. Having said that, I think it would be very helpful if we had some ideas as to what people's particular qualifications and experience are to help the individuals concerned and the rest of us actually decide on the best members to serve on.
Councillor Wyatt.
Just following up on Councillor Bolton, I agree with him. So, in terms of submitting CVs, if people apply to become a councillor, will we see having to submit a CV to see if they're going to have the suitable skills to actually be allowed to go on any committees? Because there's no requirements for any educational standard or any skills to come on as my council to put yourself forward. So I would say that if you apply to become a town council, we need to see your CV to see whether you will be eligible to go on any committees.
No, because it's not the town council that decides who gets elected. If there's an election, it's the public that decide. And often councillors or prospective councillors will put out a leaflet, CV, for whatever reason, to say, well, this is my skills, this is why I want to become a town councillor.
So when they actually get elected onto the town council, they submit the CV to the clerk. Is that the
I've not said who to submit it
So
to.
who's going to get the CV?
Well, this is for you to decide. I've put these ideas out there.
Well, I'm just following up on the idea.
Yeah.
So the CV comes along, we're all sat here, we've all got different skills, and there's no requirement to have any sort of skill to put your name forward. It's restrictive, in my opinion, it's restrictive. But if everybody goes with it, I'll go with it, but I do think it's restrictive. And I think it's...
I would suggest that the current system that we have is even more restrictive, simply because, and I'm being quite brutal about this, if your face doesn't fit, you don't get on a committee. I'm being quite brutal about it.
So are you suggesting...
Yeah, right, and
Are you
council.
Are you suggesting that cronyism exists?
Absolutely.
Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Right, it has been, and it always has gotten into it. Right, fine.
Thank you.
Right,
Can't teach stupid, can you?
It has.
Councillor Lehman.
Yeah, this is kind of a particular circumstance regarding CVs. I mean, all my qualifications, all my experience, all relates to I have no intention of proving what I've done in the past. So where does that put me?
Right, it's a suggestion. Right, I've put a suggestion of how you could have a fairer system, perhaps, of choosing your committee members, so that everybody gets a chance and everybody can use the skills that they've got. What you do with that is entirely your problem, not mine.
Thank you. Councillor Dalrymple, and then I've got Councillor Smith.
I just wanted to say, whatever system we adopt, we need to be aware in May 2027 there could be completely new councillors who are going to be attending for the first time for the AGM on May, and then they will be elected to committees. We need to ensure we've got a process that will allow that to work for brand new councillors on day one at their first council meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Smith.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Quite convoluted, this one, but basically I would like the motion that we continue with the system as we've got at the moment. The main reason is, looking further out down the agenda, the increased workload of having an F&GP meeting and then town development meeting as well, additional, so we're putting more meetings into this calendar. So on that basis, only just short term for another 3 months off, depending on the
You're
year.
going to have a new clerk, hopefully,
Yes.
by the new year. And
Well,
they may have some input
yeah, so
into this.
I was going to put motion is to continue with this system for the next 3 months.
Any further comments, councillors? Councillor Riddles?
Can I just make one very brief suggestion? And instead of having the 2 full council meetings, one week and one the following week, right? If we could split it up and have it first and third, it's just from a practical point of view for us preparing agendas and everything.
You can remember that was the original proposal and somewhere along the line it got muddled.
Well, you've had a council meeting tonight, and I've got to get an agenda out for another full council meeting next week.
I'm happy to put that in
Yeah,
the
so
motion.
continue with current system, first and third. Yeah.
I'm going to bring in Councillor Riddles. I know we've had a motion, but Councillor Riddles, you have your hand up, and then Councillor Hanston.
I would suggest that we stick to this system until May. I can't see the point of doing another 3 months, changing it, and then a couple of months down the line, we're back to a new year. So it would make sense just to carry it on until we want to change it, have it so it's changed in May.
Are you seconding the motion?
What?
Are you seconding the motion?
Well, that
Yes,
depends
yes.
whether you will accept that.
I will recommend this, or alter the motion, that rather 3 months would continue for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
Councillor Hanston.
Yeah, just a comment on councillors' membership of committees. I perceive that the main problem is that councillors don't informally talk to each other and say things such as, I think I might be good on finance. Would you vote for me when it comes to the AGM? If the first that people know that somebody wants to be on certain committees is when you turn up to the AGM and you have a list of names there, then it comes out of the blue. Councillors need to talk to each other more rather than operating in 19 separate silos with no communication.
Councillor Bolton, and then I've got Councillor
I
Cole.
want to speak against the motion on the grounds that the system we have at the moment simply does not work. I would instead propose that we have a proposal into which perhaps we will be invited to have some input that should come to the next suitable meeting of the council to propose a committee system as we had before, which enables the committees to take most of the decisions which are then fed to the council meeting. It was once a month, once every 2 months. I think continuing the present system, which is frankly a shambles, is irresponsible. So I'll be voting against it.
So this is basically
This
a
is
counter
the
motion.
motion.
No, this is a counter motion.
Because we've had the
Because
amendment
we've-
previously.
Well, we've got one motion on the table,
Yeah.
that's been seconded. This is a counter proposal that we actually go back to a committee system, but we discuss what formats that will take at the next meeting, which will be the 9th of December.
It's not necessarily the next meeting, but one soon after that.
Right, well, yeah. The next meeting is the 9th of December, then one after that is the 16th of December. So, but as of now, we haven't got a seconder for that.
I'm going to make a comment in a minute, but I've got Councillor Coughlin there and Councillor O'Hara.
Right, so we have got a second. Right.
What Councillor Harston said, is that not colonial? I can't even see it. Colonialism. Hello?
Hold the button down and then
Push it. It's on now.
Right. The comments that Councillor Harston made, is that not colonialism? That's the word.
You're talking to everybody.
Well, it's informing other councils that you want to be on a certain committee. And therefore, then they say, yes, I want to be in it, and it goes on, is that not colonialism?
Thank you, Councillor Corbyn. I'm going to bring in Councillor O'Hara.
I think what Councillor Harston was actually talking about was that we should all be talking to each other. And we tend to go in our little groups, and I've mentioned groups before, and rather than talking to other groups, we should be doing that and making more of an effort of it.
Thank you. I'm just going to make a comment because we've got 2 motions on the floor, haven't we? Before we go to that, can I just remind members that whatever we do on this is going to be quite a large body of work, and we do have our budget to get through. We're going through the process of interviewing for a new town clerk. We're putting so much work on the staff that we've got. I'm just not sure that we should be adding on this until after Christmas. That is my personal view. I don't think we should be rushing through this because members do have expertise in all sorts of areas and we do need to start getting things right. But I just feel we're overloading the staff that we've already got. The budget is now critical to get done, in my opinion. Do members want to withdraw motions and move that we revisit this after Christmas? And that's just a thought I'm putting out there.
That's one of the motions.
Well, do I have to make these motions?
It's a sort of an amendment to vote.
If someone was prepared to add that as a date within their motion, surely it's an amendment to it. Councillor.
I would suggest that 3 months, first of all, postponing it until the next AGM is too late. I wasn't intending to suggest, and I'm sorry if I didn't make that clear, we should add this into the discussion before Christmas. I would suggest that we try and come up with a revised committee system as early as possible in the new year. Would that be a reasonable suggestion? I don't propose anything simply unreasonable.
If we go back to the original proposal from Councillor Smith, which is that basically we carried it on for 3 months, so we've got November, we'll be into sort of February. Yeah. That would, without the amendment, yeah, that original proposal would satisfy everybody. Yeah? Yeah. So it's that, fix here.
Can I just add then that we review it in 3 months' time?
Yeah.
Is that, yeah?
Yes, yeah. So we continue with the current system, but we change it to the first and third until 3 months.
3 months, yeah.
Yeah, for 3 months.
So it should be.
So that would bring us to into February,
Yeah.
which would then nicely give you time, if you can come to some sort of decision in February, to actually have that process in place for May. Right. Okay, so that's,
So we've got that.
right, we've got that proposal from Councillor Smith. So we now need, you second it. Right, Councillor Reed is second.
You're happy with that?
Yeah.
So which one?
So we're removing Councillor Owen's proposal.
So
Right.
is
So
everyone
a
very
vote on
clear
that.
what we're going to vote on?
Yeah.
Right, all those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you, members. held as agreed upon to fit with the town council's specific requirements. All members have had a copy. Any comments, please? Councillor Lehman.
I did submit a load of suggestions, so I thought I'll think about those.
Any other comments from members? Did you all see the comments and proposals from Councillor Ward and Councillor Dalrymple?
Can I just thank Councillor Lehman for that email? I started looking through Jackie, but it hasn't taken some time.
Sorry, Councillor Lehman, we can't hear.
You go through. I just wanted to thank Councillor Lehman for the email that she sent, because I did think it was very useful. And I started looking at Councillor Lehman's suggestions, and I'm working through the standing orders now. So I think that was a useful thing. Thank you.
Councillor Bolton.
Yes, I also looked through Councillor Lehman's suggestions, and most of them I thought were very helpful in terms of clarification and sorting out what should be bold and what shouldn't be bold. Just one or two points I didn't quite understand. Suggestion under 3G, the subject of standing order 3, if a member of the public shall not speak for more than 3 minutes, which Councillor Lehman thinks is contrary to the Human Rights Act 1999. Well, I found out, it's not quite what she said, I found Article 10, and I found it difficult to understand why that would have an effect on how long the members of the public should have to speak on it.
It's off the top of my head, but I can use it
Microphone,
off the top of my head, without reading it again to remind myself, it gives you the right to hold views and express those views without interruption by an authority. So it could be read that if you're expressing those views and someone says you have 3 minutes stop, you are defending their facts.
Thank you, Councillor Lehman. I'm just going to pop in on this one. Councillor, do you want to speak first, Councillor Lehman?
I was going to say, with reference to the 3G, it's to prevent filibustering.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a standard technique to impose a 3-minute, but you could put something in there maybe about we could vote to extend it in particular circumstances, which others do. So say, for example, a member of the public is delivering something that is likely and very important to go over to 5 minutes, we should be able to move that they can do that.
Could I just come in? I was just going to say this, Clark. As far as I have always been involved in councils, it's always been 3 minutes for public participation. However, that is really at the discretion of the chair. And if the chair allows that person to speak on, I can only speak personally. I allow people to speak unless it's abusive and it's repetitive. But I think that we're here to commute and have conversations with our public, so we should allow that little bit of leeway if necessary. So I'm not sure that we need to have that written, but it is down to the chair's discretion as well. I do accept that. But certainly, I'll hand over to you now, but that's the way that I chair meetings.
Yeah, I think all you need to do is add at the end of that. Right, subject to standing order 3, a member of the public shall not speak for more than 3 minutes unless the chairman. My problem was limiting 3 minutes, end off.
Councillor Abbott, you wanted to come in?
Yeah, just on the point on that, Chair. When I sometimes on both times that we've been to meetings and somebody's a member of the public's been speaking, you always seem to find that one of the top tables, one of the bars or whatever, is starting to bang down and saying you're running out of time. And there's nothing more embarrassing than when you're trying to explain something that's going on in the town, or we need help on in the town, and they're rushing you through it. But I agree with what you're saying, but it's up to the chair.
I think if this town council takes the policy that the chair holds the discretion, as Pam's already alluded to, and if you remember, at Scarborough Council, we used to have lights that came on when you reached your 3 minutes, and red lights used to come on as a precursor to the warning that you've had your time. But I certainly think that we can look at that and add in what's been suggested.
Yeah, so we'll read, subject to standing on the 3 bracket F, a member of the public shall not speak for more than 3 minutes unless at the discretion of the chairman.
Are members happy with that?
Yeah, so we can have that.
Any further comments, members? Councillor
Do
O'Hara?
you want us to actually go through the email that Jackie sent?
You've all seen the email that Councillor Lehman sent. I mean, if you're happy for those changes to be applied.
I don't think, if I run through, okay, there's quite a few here.
Yeah.
I don't think 3B is confusing. It reads to me that you have to give 3 days of clear notice. It makes absolute sense.
Can you speak a little bit further into
Yeah, sorry. With 3X, it talks about the meetings being 3 hours now, 2 hours. I think it should say at 2 hours. I think you can't hold a meeting within 2 hours. You shouldn't be having it. 4DB, I'll give you these afterwards, don't worry. 4DB I completely agree with. I think there are issues with 4D, which you have to go on.
Was that 4C, Councillor?
4D.
4D. Right, that the council may appoint standing committees or committees as may be necessary.
So I have to refer to your opinion as well, sorry. I don't think there is repetition. I'm not seeing the repetition on 4D, 8, 9 and 10. 5, I completely agree. You picked up on all the areas where it needs to change the 5 as well. 60, I think leave
Councillor
at
O'Hara, we are struggling to hear you.
60, leave at 3. Okay. So it says, what's the benefit of changing it to 3? 3 is the quorum of all committees. So I would say leave it at 3 for a motion there.
It's 2 now.
It's 2 now. It should be 3, I think. I would completely agree with it being 3. 7A and 8A I've got no issue with. I'm sure everyone else has got issues with these. 12, 13, it does need colour coding, we'll spot on there. And 13H should be highlighted. 15A, I would rather it was an employee doing that rather than a councillor. And again, that refers to 16A, which I believe it should be an employee. AR in 3 days, I would agree we need more time with the AR, and that should specifically be in there. I also agree with 18AB, it should be 25,000. And I think with 26C, I think just giving them an electronic copy, I think you can always ask for a second copy, rather than burning through trees, if that makes sense. If you like.
I'm not quite sure that we've quite got all of that, Councillor O'Hara, so it's difficult to hear. Can I suggest that you give that to the clerk?
Yeah.
And possibly members need to see this again before we move forward, so that everybody is very clear what we're agreeing to or not.
Yeah, I think we need to put the combination of two things as options. So obviously Councillor Lehman has put forward certain things, certain comments, but Councillor Mulherron has some she's agreed with and some she hasn't agreed with, and they need presented as options.
Other members are at liberty and can contribute to this. This is a whole member involvement. I'm going to go to Councillor Darren.
Can we just be mindful that obviously
part of the start of this process was to ensure our standing orders met with our terms of reference, and we still need to cross-reference with that. And also, it's a future agenda item that there are recommendations from the AGAR report concerning the standing orders that need to be, if approved by council, need to be included within.
There's more work to be done with that now.
So if we come back to the next meeting with the revised plan, I'll have a good look at the responses from AGAR and see how that affects things.
I've got Councillor Hansel that wants to come back in here first, Councillor Mulhern.
Yes, 3B regarding the quorum I'm reading that, should that say 1/3 of the number of members of the meeting rather than of the council? Because that's telling me that, for instance, a planning meeting of 7 members will require 1/3 of 19 rather than 1/3 of 7.
What was that? Sorry,
3B, no business may be transacted at a meeting unless at least 1/3 of the whole number of members of the, should that be meeting rather than council.
Yeah, I think that should be for full council.
Right.
Yeah, and it does say below, see standing order 4D.
Oh, right.
7, 8 for the quorum of the committee or subcommittee. So if we look at 4D, terms of reference, let's find where it says quorum.
In the original document,
Yeah.
in the original document, they've got the dots down the side, and that is the full council. That's
So,
all.
shall determine the place notice requires a quorum for a meeting of a committee, which in both cases shall be no less than 3. So, I think although B says that it does only apply to full council, because as you say, it's got the dots around the side, that which bits refer to which.
My understanding of the quorum is if it's full council, it's 1/3 of members. Even if they look fully staffed, we've got 19 members, seats, it's got to be 7. Even if you've only got 12 members sitting, it's still 7.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so I'll let you come back in.
I was going to suggest that myself and Jackie at some point get together and we iron it out, because we're going to have disagreements, but a lot of it we agree on. So, and then that will.
I do want to stress the point that other members do have input into this, because this is for everyone. I absolutely agree that you put the effort in, but there are options for the members to put forward as well if they wish.
Yeah, I mean, if there are any other points that people want to make, I mean, perhaps it would be an idea for Councillor Mulhern and Councillor Lehman to meet with me in the office and go through it, right? And we can bring it back to 9th of December meeting with those amendments marked. Yeah?
Just getting a date.
Sorry?
Just getting a date.
Well, it'll be when I'm in the office. Yeah, well, that's another problem I've got, so, but that's a relative that's in hospital, so.
Are members happy to move
Yeah,
forward on that basis?
Yeah.
Second moving on, just to do Councillor Steve Smith. Are we all in favour? Being mindful, members, to get your input in this as soon as
Councillor
possible. All in favour? Yeah. Unanimous. Agenda item number 11, finance. Approval of paid expenditure transactions up to and including 31st of October 2025. We think these one point of time. It's up to you. The members want me to go through the full block of these, or would you rather take them one point at a time?
This is the paid expenditure, this is what we're looking at.
Right, 11A.
Right, so we've all had a copy of this. Any questions, any comments, can we approve it?
Councillor Smith.
Can I just clarify what the their bank transfer, £200,000. I know it's in its out, but not exactly is it? It's the third line down on the 8th of the 10th, 25.
Right, that will be, they'll have received the precept, the second half of the precept.
Right.
It goes into the current account, so we then have to transfer it into the tracker account
Thank you.
to make sure we get interest on it.
Yep.
Any other comments, members, on 11A? Can I have a mover to approve? Oh, Councillor Majesty.
So thank you very much for your finding of the bank account broken down. I've been requesting that for a long time, it's down there, so thanks very much for that.
Yeah.
We are going in the right direction.
Yeah, we know retrospectively we haven't yet broken it all down for you on the bank account. The idea is that we will, but I ain't promising when. Yeah, yeah.
Councillor Coughlin, you had your hand up. Was that
To dispose it or to receive it or...
Yeah, well, we want anything to approve. I've got
Questions? No more questions?
everyone in favour of approving.
We've got a seconder. Who seconded?
Mr. Coughlin.
Chris, yeah.
Yeah, Councillor Reeves.
All in favour, it's unanimous.
Unanimous.
11B, the interim audit report for the year out of 24-25.
Right.
Again, I'll have a panel response.
Yeah, this is relating to the 24-25 as opposed to the 23-24 which we will look at next. But basically, there again have been some objections to the AR, and so this is issued as it has to be. We have displayed it, it's on the website, and no doubt in due course we will be getting questions and we will have to supply similar answers to what we're going to talk about in the next one. So it's just to notify you that that has been done and it has been displayed.
Members happy to note that? Yeah.
Councillor Smith?
Seconded by Councillor Howard. All in favour? Thank you. Yeah. 11C, the update on AGA 23-24 and the report from the LGCR for consideration as a response to care with the John. And we've all had a copy of this.
Yeah.
Members, any comments? You heard that?
Yeah.
I don't think we've got any chance.
It's been formulated, to come up with a response, we have to accept that response and give it to...
And I think councillors have to accept the responsibility that things haven't been done correctly. We're now aware of that and we are making steps to rectify these matters, which hopefully when we come to the 24-25, some of those rectified actions might be in place and we can answer those.
Councillor Bolton.
This one might seem rather pedantic, but the recommendations in the report suggest that the council refutes what's been suggested. Because this is, quite like unbelievable situation, I think we should remember that the word refute means to prove something false, and the word rebut means to argue against it.
Rebut.
And I would suggest, I don't think we should change the report, but I would suggest that the council will know that the meaning of this is that we should rebut what this it wants to do.
Got some puzzled looking faces, now if you could just...
Well, I think it's the wording.
So I'm asking...
I actually read that as report meaning provide proof of falsehood, which is what the report does. The report has provided proof that the allegations are false.
In some respects.
Yes. In those respects where everything
Yes.
is in the report.
Yeah.
I think what members need to remember, we did go out for an external review on this because we felt that was the open and transparent way to go. as it's already been suggested, the procedure, but before I continue, I'm going to go to Councillor Dalrymple.
I'd just like to support what Councillor Smith said. We asked for a report, we've got a report, it's given recommendations, we need to act on them and accept the nature of the report and recommendations and the way to move forward.
And this is submitted to PKF Littlejohn as our response to the objections.
Yes.
I think it's the only way to go, but that's been put forward by Councillor Dalrymple.
Well,
You're seconded to Councillor
Councillor
Smith.
Smith.
All in favour? And again, unanimous.
Just on the balance sheet, was this how we paid for this? Was this the item of about £1,500?
No,
No.
the initial £1,500 was the investigation. She came into the office for 2 days.
Right.
And to go through the archive of all the information. And we don't know, we haven't got on invoice position.
Not yet.
So I thought it was great value for that sort of money.
I know there is £20,000 in the budget for audit, so.
Councillor, we've taken the vote, but I'll come back.
Do we have any idea what the final vote is going to be?
No, but I'm sure we'll all get to know it as soon as we do.
I wasn't in post when the agreement was
Budget is
reached.
5,000.
Yes, it
I mean,
was.
the
You
previous
probably
plan.
were, yeah,
The
the
previous
plan,
part,
so.
so soon it will be in the area.
Yeah, so,
I just know all the invoices for the investigation.
yeah.
We will bring it back to members.
So the
If you
post
want.
receiving was submitted to PKF Littlejohn as our response to the objections.
Yeah.
Okay?
And moving on to 11B, the first draft of budget for 26-27. This is being circulated, it says.
Yeah. Right, you've all had copies tonight. I did circulate it on Thursday in its first incarnation, which is the very big one. But if you want to move on to where I've added a bit more, it's the copy here, I've got somewhere. Is that one? Yeah. Yeah. So, to say it's been a piece of work is perhaps a large understatement. As you know from my email, the budget that you agreed last year, the items that are included as headings bear no real resemblance to the budget headings that we use on this finance software. So it's been a little bit of a trying to work out what things have been grouped together, and things like salaries have been put in as a one big figure instead of a net, and showing all the other things that happen. So I've gone through everything. Now, there are an awful lot of codes on our budget headings that are used on the software that are redundant, and they should be taken out. And I've just got a question. Right, the Park Manager's office that we used to have, we used to use that office, right? Was it for 10 years?
Yeah, yes. Well, the one that was in the...
Yeah, so that's gone. We no longer rent that office, so those can come out. Although the rental for the office and the phone. Right, that's fine. It was just that it was still in place when I left, so I was just double checking on that one. Looking at everything that we do, as I said, there's quite a few headings that we either need to consolidate into one heading, or we need to get rid of. So there's a large amount of work to be done there.
It's all over the place.
I've put in as best I can the figures, the to-date figures, so what we have had in income so far this year and the expenditure so far this year are correct up to the middle of November. They don't include the approval of payments that we've done tonight, so those will be added on the next incarnation. I've then taken what I call the revised projected income, which basically is the amount that was originally put into the budget that we're hoping by the end of the year we'll achieve. which we may or may not, but at the moment that's what we're projecting. So we've already had 505,000 in, but if we get everything in that's included in the budget, we could end up with 604,000, but it probably won't come out quite like that. There's somewhere in between the two. Then I've put a draft in for next year, and I've put a preset figure in, which works on, it's just over 1%, 1.28% or something like that. Just under £1, I think, in actual money for a Band D property, Band C property. So that gives us a rough idea next year of what we're going to need, or what we're going to get in. So that top page, the very first page, is all income. Right? We then go on to the next 3 pages. Now, as I said, the former clerk had put all the salaries into one great big lump. It doesn't really work like that because it all has to be split up, because so much goes to HMRC, so much goes to pensions, etc., etc. So I put it at the end of the bottom page. So at the moment, roughly our salaries, the net salary is 88,000. There's some work to do there because the national insurance has not been split out. What's being paid over to HMRC is the £33,846.19, but some of that contains national insurance and that should be split out separately. But again, that's something that we've got to go back into the system and redo, all those transactions. I think everything else, I don't know how much detail you've looked at it in, but I've come up with figures of next year. So we've got income of potentially 580,000, and so far I've got 521,750 in the expenditure budget. But what I will remind you is that there will be some things that I'll be bringing forward to the next look at the budget, which things that need doing in this building, particularly the electrical. There's some electrical works to be done. There's some works to be done at the toilets.
Well, there's the toilets electrical work.
Yeah, toilets electrical work, and there's
maintenance work in this building.
Maintenance work in this building.
Lighting and panels, etc.
Yeah. However, at the moment, we haven't spent an awful lot out of our budget for this year, our maintenance budget for this year. If you look, our general maintenance budget, we've got 18,000 in there, and according to this, we've only spent less than 2,000. So some of the money that we've got allocated in the budget, we might be able to spend some of that on the work that we've got outstanding now, that we've got quotes in for. So that's something else we need to look at, and we need to then decide, this is where councillors need to think about, what do you want to do next year? Is there anything you want to spend some money on? And that's what we need to bring forward to the next board budget, which will be on the 16th of December.